evening, everyone. I'm just trying to take my sound down. Okay, welcome this evening. I don't know if the coffee's ready yet. Welcome to this meeting of the Old Bridge Township Board of Education. Pursuant to the bylaws in the state of New Jersey, the board operates its meetings consistent with the provisions of Robert's Rules of Order. So, pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, Board Office, the schools, cable, Vision, Channel 118, Verizon, FiOS Channel 24, and filing such notice with the Township Clerk. Meeting was scheduled for today, Tuesday, January 19th, 2016. The board will take formal action on payment of bills and other agenda items. Mr. Mara?
The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such recording and completely disavows any future use.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. Roll call.
DePrima?
Here.
Dunn?
Here.
Dinoff?
Present.
Ellis Foster?
Here.
Hopman?
Here.
Mongan?
Here.
Singh?
Here.
Weber? Andriani?
Present.
Quorum exists.
Thank you. Mr. Weber did reach out to me earlier. He's still not feeling very well, so I'm sure he's watching us on TV, and he'll phone in anything that he wishes to have explained. All right, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
As you all know, the board has been reading the Code of Ethics statutes one at a time. One of our newly elected board members, Jeffrey, has offered to read this month's highlight. Mr. Dinoff?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is the Board of Education Code of Ethics Corner, highlight of the month for January. Confine his or her board action to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted all those who will be affected by them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff. Addendum, we do have to move to accept and approve the addendum, which board members have, which is one on number 10 for finance and number 2 for non-certificated personnel others. So I need a motion on that.
Dunn will move addendum.
Thank
Item
you.
1.
Thank you, Mr.
Dinoff will second.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff. Roll call, Mr. Mara.
Hopman?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Dinoff?
Yes.
Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Mongan?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
The motion to accept the addendum passes.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Mara, you have administrative changes?
Yes. Board members, administrative corrections are reflected in the agenda and the attachments that were in your packet. Anything in gray is an administrative correction. Anything in yellow was not on the agenda from last week's draft agenda meeting. And members of the public, a schedule of the administrative corrections is available with the agenda in the back of the studio. And finally, in the future, we will be posting the bill list and any policy changes on our website. On the back table will be a binder with tonight's bill list and updated policies. So we will not be distributing at the meetings the bill list and the numerous pages of policies. Thank you, Mrs. Andriani.
You're welcome. Just as an explanation for that, sometimes that paper is anywhere from 20 to 50 pages, front and back, and we make copies for 50 to 100 people. Sometimes we don't get that many. So in a tree saving endeavor, We're looking for the public to go on the website and read anything that they need, and we will have a copy here posted for reference if anybody would like to do so. Okay. I need a motion to approve minutes.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis Foster. All right, Ms. Hopman will second. Roll call, any discussion on? No? Mr. Mara?
Hopman,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Abstain.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
No vote.
DePrima,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
Approval of minutes passes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Joseph, we have a representative, Student Senate President. Let's go.
Some of the previous events that our schools had, recently, Zach Adenisi, senior at Oberst High School, signed his national letter of intent to play baseball for the University of North Carolina. He will be a pitcher for the Tar Heels for the next 4 years. Right before winter break, Student Senate sent our gifts and donations to the families that we adopted for the holiday season. Also before break, the chorus and band had their winter holiday concerts. On January 8th, we had our fashion show, which was a great time for all who participated and attended, getting a chance to view the styles for this year's prom. All the winter sports teams have been having exceptional seasons, the boys track team in particular. At the Group 4 state relays, Oberst took first. At that meet, we had our distance medley relay, which ranks number 3rd in the country, and the sprint medley ranks number 2nd in the country. Some of our future events are on February 20th, the Peer Program, as well as many other clubs, will be participating in the Polar Plunge, where we collect and donate money to the Special Olympics. At the beginning of February, the girls cheerleading team will be traveling to Disney to compete at nationals. And lastly, the boys hockey team on February 3rd, which is their senior night, will also be having a charity game where we will donate all money received to the Lupus Foundation of America in memory of Mrs. LaNegra, who sadly lost her battle to the cruel disease last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Now, I believe you have some studying to do and preparing for a track tomorrow. Thank you. You are excused.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Okay, moving into recognition, which is one of the board members' favorite parts of the evening. First up, number one on our agenda is Anthony Post. Yes, Anthony, come on up.
All right, if I could have Mr. Maranzoli join Anthony and his family at the podium. Move the Board of Education to commend Anthony Post, East Brunswick VOTEC, 12th grader, for completing the Eagle Scout project at Shepherd School in fulfillment of the rank of Eagle Scout. I believe, Mr. Post, you put together the bocce ball court that's there?
Well, thank you for inviting us here for the recognition. I'd like to recognize tonight Anthony J. Post. He is a senior, as you heard, at East Brunswick VOTEC. However, he's also an alumnus of Grissom Elementary School and Salk Middle School, correct? Well, Anthony came to me in the summertime and proposed a very he gave me an interesting request, and he asked me if I needed any help, if there were any projects that I would have. So immediately I started making this very lengthy list, and then I slowed myself down, and through some conversation I realized what he was coming to me for. It was for completion of the Eagle Scout rank. It was a project that was needed to complete the Eagle Scout rank. And I did some more reading, and it says that service to other people is what scouting is truly all about. In many ways, the service project is a reflection of who the scout is as a youth leader. The result should be significant in its impact to the community, it should be special, and it should represent your very, very best effort. Well, we spoke a little bit, and we came up with some ideas, and I have to say that Anthony certainly met all of those requirements. He created a wonderful project. It was, as you heard, a bocce court with benches, a planter, and some birdhouses, a little nature preserve back there. And the Shepherd community absolutely loves it. They even used it during September through November for various instances, and it was absolutely wonderful. So Anthony is joined here tonight by his mom, dad, brother, and sister, and his close friends. The Eagle Scout ceremony is scheduled for Saturday, February 6th, I believe, at the Civic Center. So on behalf of Shepherd School, its community, the students, teachers, and the entire Shepherd community, we would like to present to you this framed certificate, thanking you for a wonderful job on a phenomenal project. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maranzoli. Mr. Pulse, do you, Scout Pulse, would you like to tell us a little bit about your project? Please do.
Alright, so our project consisted of, as you heard, making a bocce court, which is an Italian, like a lawn bowling game. I also made 2 benches, a planter, and I believe 7 birdhouses outside the classroom. All the scouts put in a lot of hard work and dedication into getting the project done in, I believe it was 2 or 3 days. And that's really it.
Well, thank you, but you know what? Everybody that knows me knows that I don't let this go on without saying something. That really just it. It takes a lot of hours. Everybody talks about Eagle Scout project. It's a service project. To be an Eagle Scout, to be awarded the rank of Eagle, it's 300 separate individual requirements that take many years to complete. The project itself is not, oh, let's just put up birdhouses or build benches. It's a complete, you have to put the plan together, you have to get the plan approved from site approval, from the scouts. You have to actually recruit people to come and help you. You have to find the funding. I mean, the scout is actually the project manager for the activity. So for the board, thank you very much for doing something at one of our facilities, and thank you very much for your service to the community. Thank you very much. And just so that the community at large knows, since the year 2005, between Troop 129 and 219, we probably have close to 100 Eagle Scouts from those 2 scouts in Old Bridge. So that's a phenomenal number. All right, thank you. Number 2?
Thank you. What's become a custom with Roosevelt Care Center and our students within Old Bridge School District is that our talented students from the performing arts, whether through choir, theater, the musical students, will go to the Roosevelt Care Center and perform for the, I guess, the residents there. And it's become a very nice tradition. So I know that many of the students from Salk School, who are part of the choir, could not be here tonight, but the ones that are here, who brave this cold weather to be here, if you can please go to the podium and join Ms. Keeler and Ms. Hopman. I would like to move the board to commend the following students from Old Bridge Schools Choir, for the visit to the residents of Roosevelt Care Center. Through the holiday song and music, they bring cheer and joy to the citizens of Old Bridge. These students are being recognized for their time and giving back to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino, and I just wanted to thank Ms. Hopman because every year she reaches out to our district and we are able to provide her with students who volunteer their time along with their vocal teachers, drama teachers, and each year we've been doing this as an annual event through the high school. Well, this year, because of the fact that we had very little time, we were not able to secure the high school because they were practicing for their high school concert. So, despite the fact that she had very little time to put everything together, Miss Lauren Bono, who is our brand new choir teacher, vocal instructor at Salk Middle School, did put something together. And not only did she do such a wonderful job so quickly, she had over 20 students participating. And it was a wonderful experience for the students and the residents. And we are a national district of character, and this is a wonderful experience for all of them. I was truly proud to see how beautifully they were giving back to our community. I'm going to pass it along to Ms. Hopman.
Thank you. And I just want to thank all of the students that did come over to Roosevelt Care Center. I do have a letter that was given, and was written, and it was sent to Jonas Salk School by the Director of Recreation. And I just wanted to read it. It says, "Dear students of the Jonas Salk Middle School, happy holidays on behalf of the residents of Roosevelt Care Center. I would like to thank you for your winter visit. The residents, staff, and visitors enjoyed your performance. You are a talented group. It is always nice to hear Christmas carols, and you really helped to brighten up the facility. Thank you for thinking of us and for helping make the holiday bright for our residents. We appreciate all that you do to spread joy and cheer. We wish each of you a happy, healthy New Year. Sincerely, Joanne Franklin. And I just want to say that I was very proud of all of you and what you accomplished that day. The seniors were overwhelmed. They loved every minute of your singing. They have been asking me consistently when you're coming back because they want you to come back again. And I just have to tell you that they did such a wonderful job, okay, just dealing with the residents in the senior facility, that I was overwhelmed myself. And I can't thank you enough for what you did. And we are really looking forward to seeing you come back, along with Miss Bono, who really put this whole thing together with Anahita Cahill. And it was not a lot of time that was given to you people to do that. So it just goes to show you what kind of employees we have in the Old Bridge Township School District. They are phenomenal, and I can't thank you enough.
And I am going to pass this large folder of several students that should be recognized. However, since two of them did brave this chilly weather, I do want to recognize them here tonight. McKenna Heslin, thank you so much. Why don't you go stand up there?
Over here.
Get your picture. And Daniel Retta? Rita. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Yes, please. I think.
Thank you, Ms. Keeler. Thank you, Ms. Hotman. Please pass that folder along to Mr. Lynch. Thank you, Mr. Lynch, for being here tonight, representing Jonas Salk School. While they're taking the picture, I'm going to recognize the names of the students who couldn't be here, so you in the audience will know just who we're talking about. Gabriela Armonos, Brianna Clark, Sydney Corriera, Anthony Fallu, Anthony Ferrigno, John Guzman, Shane Hage, Alexandra Lockhart, Noel Medina, Shelby Murtha, Ben Ogala, John Quigley, Jessica Kelly, Kiara Clark, Leah Kavartek, Ariana Letteriello, Driana Murray, Sarah Ramos, Carly Suriski, Heather Bianchino, Jamie Costaria, Amaya Hemmings, and Ilana Pazzanini. Thank you very much for attending Roosevelt's Care Center. At this time, I would recommend or request that Old Bridge Township Police Officer and District Dare Officer Pat D'Onofrio please make his way to the podium. Officer D'Onofrio has requested that we publicly recognize some Old Bridge High School peer students who were a big part of helping out students and families that needed the assistance. Old Bridge Police Department and Police Benevolent Association Local 127 would like to take this opportunity to recognize and commend the individuals listed below for their participation with the Cops for the Kids Holiday Party. These students assisted the department with gift wrapping of various items to be given out to children for the holiday party. Their volunteerism for this event demonstrates not only being a member of the Peer Leader Program, but extends to all areas of commitment, not only for their fellow students, but for the community as well. I know through speaking to Officer D'Onofrio, these students have received a letter from the Old Bridge Police Department. Their names are Anissa Baltazar, Nicole Bertel, Katerina Cordiero, Samantha Gambino, Stephanie Garofalo, Alexa Laspada, and Veronica Rongo.
Over the last 20 years, the Old Bridge Police Department has done a charity Christmas party, Cops for Kids. We work with the food bank in town and do needy families. It seems like every year our party's getting bigger and bigger. This year we had, it was something like, I think, 120 some odd families, but we had presents for 93 kids. And as police officers, I'm good at wrapping my presents for my own kids, but if you're wrapping 93 gifts, we reached out to the peer leaders like a week before this party, and these 7 ladies really stepped up and helped us. And it was greatly appreciated. I met with them a couple of weeks ago and reached out to Mr. Cittadino. The peer leadership program is a great program, but kids working with the community is a real stand-up job, and I just wanted these young ladies recognized and to thank you very much.
That concludes recognition.
Mrs. Adriani, could I just make one comment? That going back to Anthony's award, as you know, any Eagle, it does take an extraordinary amount. But I'd like to recognize his parents. There's an awful lot, but they also are great contributors to the Old Bridge Scout program. So I'd like to thank them.
All right, I need someone to move recognition 1 through 4?
Mongan will
1 through 3. Thank you, Ms.
Dinoff will
Mongan.
second.
And Mr. Dinoff will second. Thank you very much. I don't think we have any discussion unless anybody else wants to add. No, Mr. Mara?
Singh,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 4 pass.
Thank you very much. At this time, after recognition, we usually just make note. We'd like our students to get home to do homework, and this would be a nice time. If you did want to leave, this would be a good time for you to make a graceful exit.
Thank you, and thank you to all students and parents that could attend this evening, and for staff that are here supporting our recognition portion. All right, I'm ready to move on to
There you go.
superintendent's report. Part of the superintendent's report for this time of year is our annual testing report. I would like to have at this time Mr. Jeffrey Caulfield, our district testing and guidance supervisor, to come to the podium and provide for us his annual testing report. Thank you, Mr. Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino, Board of Education, for the opportunity to present our annual testing report. Topics for this evening will include the park implementation and results. The College Board will include the PSAT from this October, SAT historical data, and advanced placement testing. So I'll begin with the park, which was the new assessment. In 2015, New Jersey adopted the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers, the PARC, to replace HESPA and previous assessments in the elementary and middle school in language arts and mathematics. Students took the PARC in language arts and literacy assessments in grades 3 through 11. Students took PARC mathematics assessments in grades 3 through 8 and end-of-course assessments in Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 at the high school level. Now to the numbers. It took the Pearson and Park a little while to get us our results. We didn't receive the results this year, actually until December. But basically what the numbers come down to is we assessed 9 grade levels were tested in ELA and mathematics. So across the 2 levels, we had 18 district data points comparing our results with the state of New Jersey. Old Bridge Township Public Schools outperformed the state in 11 of those 18 areas. From the state of New Jersey this year, they recommended that the districts not compare our results to the previous NJ-ASC assessments from the years going back as we had done previously. So basically, they just used it as a starting point to collect the data moving forward. Worthy of note at this time, the Board of Education, one of their goals was the successful implementation of the PARC, which we were successful in implementing the PARC, And also, along with that, we actually performed well. As you can see, we outperformed the state in 11 of the 18 areas. So I have graphs for all of the areas. Basically, you can look at it as three components: the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school. So for the elementary school, we actually swept the state. So we outperformed the state in all areas in English, language arts, and mathematics in grades 3 through 5. So you can see in grade 3, we actually significantly outperformed the state. Grade 4, similar results. You can see why they wanted us to use the first line as baseline data, because the numbers are going to jump around a little bit with the graphs as they're just collecting and basically validating their test questions and results. Same thing in grade 5, we outperformed the state in both areas. Moving into the middle school and the high school, basically it's back and forth. There's no consistent data whether we outperform the state in mathematics and or ELA. It just basically jumps back and forth where we went 6 for 6 in outperforming the state in grades 3 through 5. And moving into grade 6, it's basically going to be almost every other in each one of the areas. So for grade 6, you can see that we were outperformed by the state in both of the areas. In grade 7, we were outperformed marginally by the state in English language arts. In the area of mathematics, we significantly outperformed the state of New Jersey. For grade 8, again, we were marginally outperformed by the state in the area of English language arts and significantly outperformed the state in the area of mathematics. In grade 9, we outperformed the state in English language arts, and then in Algebra 1, we were outperformed by the state of New Jersey. Similar results in grade 10. You can see from this data in grades 9 and 10, those were previously not tested grades, which was one of the important facts from the state in some of the discussions with other testing coordinators. We had only previously tested at the high school in grade 11 for the HESPA, so they were areas that had not been preparing for a statewide assessment in the areas of English, language arts, and mathematics. And then in grade 11, you can see the area where we had tested previously. With regard to the HESPA, we outperformed the state in both areas. So what all this means, we received the score reports in December, so we quickly put those together and made sure that we had the results out to the community as soon as possible. So all the score reports were sent home to parents before the holiday break. What the state did this year, we actually sent score reports home to all of the parents, whether the students received a score report or not, with mock score reports in the area of English language arts and mathematics in the event that they were not tested or did not receive a score report. Included with the letter from the state of New Jersey and Pearson, there were valuable resources for our parents. You can see them listed here: understandingthescore.org, bealearninghero.org, and then there was Park Online and also a State of New Jersey from the DOE website for resources for preparing the students at home for parents. So in successfully implementing the park in Old Bridge, we now have the data, and now the most important question was, what were we going to do with that data once we had all that data and we were able to collect and analyze? There were two major factors in how we wanted to basically use this data to improve instruction. We have a grade level analysis by school where each principal can actually see each one of the areas of English language arts and mathematics and how each grade level performed in each one of the domains compared to the state of New Jersey. Also for our teachers, we have current roster report, which is new this year. So our teachers actually from their current roster can see exactly how each one of the students in grades 3 through 8 performed on the park assessment the year before in relative for each one of those domains compared to the state of New Jersey. So we can, by each grade level, see where we performed well and where the areas in need of improvement are. And also we have that same data for each one of our students that our teachers can see on one document. Also, Dr. Tom Ferry and I, he's a principal from Cheesequake, we shared significant resources with the instructional leadership team at our December ILT meeting. And thank you, Dr. Tom Ferry, principal of Cheesequake Elementary School, for providing his Soar the Scores reports for each one of our principals, as well as each one of our teachers at the elementary and middle school. So examples of the Soar the Scores report, this is a grade level analysis. So this is an example of what our principals would see. we actually couldn't, I didn't want to pick out one of the schools because it could have shown some areas, but I just picked out the grade 3 district analysis, which shows that we outperform the state in all of the areas. So what you can do from this data is each one of the domains under writing and reading within the English Language Arts Assessment, we can compare our results in each one of the 5 domains within that specific testing area. We can also do the same thing for mathematics. There were 4 domains within the overall summative test score, and we can compare our results with the state of New Jersey and how we compare in each one of those domains. An example where you can see an area in need of improvement and then an area where we can focus on how we perform well. If you look at Algebra 2, the school analysis report, there's no information in the English Language Arts, obviously, because the math assessments were end of course and it wasn't by grade level. But you can see with the total math score, we outperformed the state by 0.55%. So it was marginal in how we outperformed the state. But you can identify the specific area of modeling where we underperformed the state by 7%. This was shared with the principals and also through the mathematics department, where they can then focus their instruction on this specific area and how we can improve overall in our math summative score. Still in the process of getting this out to our teachers. The park has assured us that they will share the results with the districts earlier next year. Again, it's a baseline data. They want to make sure that their data and their scores were validated before they sent them to the schools. So a teacher, again, anonymous school, anonymous students, but soon each one of our teachers for their current roster will receive each one of their students and how they performed in each one of the areas on the park. They can use this to differentiate their instruction and focus their attention on their specific student strengths and weaknesses as they educate their students daily. There was one glitch at Jonas Salk Middle School. Many students were coded incorrectly by Pearson. They were coded correctly in a column called organization enrollment, but incorrectly under school institution identifier. So when they tested on the park, they actually showed as Jonas Salk Middle School students, but when we received the score reports, they were actually identified as high school students. It wasn't hard when we collected the data because obviously there was no one taking grade 6 ELA at the high school. So it wasn't hard for us to extrapolate the data to see how Jonas Salk did, but on the individual score reports that were sent home to the parents, it was reflecting an incorrect school average. So what we did, we contacted the NJDOE, basically said that this happened in 150 districts, which will be in the next slide, but it didn't impact any individual scores for students. So a letter was sent home to all parents from Jonas Salk Middle School, informing them the error from Pearson, including the correct averages for each grade level and area. And again, I was informed by the NJDOE that this glitch occurred in over 150 districts statewide. Any questions on the park before I move on to the College Board? Some more historical data. Again, when you look at again, I'm a fan of the law of large numbers, but 1 year is baseline data, so we're going to use what we can from Pearson and Park and the results that we receive from them in order to improve instruction. But when you look at historical data like the SATs, for example, I took the SATs when I was looking to apply to college. This is something that's been around for a long time and will continue to be so. SAT, advanced placement, and PSAT are important indicators of growth and improvement. Old Bridge High School has demonstrated significant growth in all areas over the past 5 years. Thank you to the Old Bridge Township Board of Education and our instructional leadership for supporting the PSAT initiative in 2013. So actually our current seniors did not take the PSAT as freshmen, so next year we will have 4 grade levels who have all taken the PSAT in their high school career. So the SAT longitudinal data. We've shown significant improvement over the past 5 years. The College Board always publishes its data within a 5-year window. So this data standing alone doesn't say as much as it shows because the test could have been easier in 2014. So you have to have some sort of data to compare this to see if this growth was actually substantial in what we're doing here at Old Bridge Township Public Schools and Old Bridge High School. So when you compare this data to the state of New Jersey, you see that our combined results on the SAT, we were competitive with the state of New Jersey in 2011, 2012, and 2013. After that 2013 PSAT year, again, there's a lag to get those students that time to prepare in the score reports from the College Board, but you see that we significantly outperformed the state in 2014 and also in 2015. When you break this data down further into each one of the areas, there are 3 areas on the SAT, or until March. In the area of critical reading, you can see that we underperformed the state of New Jersey from 2011 through 2013. And then in 2014, you can see the significant growth that Old Bridge High School has shown in the area of the SAT, critical reading. In the area of math, you showed a similar trend. 2011, we significantly outperformed the state. And then we were competitive with the state in 2012 and 2013. And then you show that same significant growth in 2014 and 2015. Similar results in writing. You can see, again, fairly stable with the state, and then the last 2 years we performed, outperformed the state in each one of those areas. Now, a similar trend with advanced placement testing. We've actually expanded our program significantly. So you have to look at the advanced placement testing as the total number of students and the total number of tests that were given and how you perform. If we only offered a few AP courses, we'd only have the very elite students who are taking those courses, and obviously we'd perform very well. So we've actually improved in both of these areas over the past 5 years. So you can see we were competitive with the state, outperformed marginally in 2011, 2012, and then as our program grew, we actually had a higher percentage of students who scored a 3 or higher on the advanced placement exams. Again, this would make sense if we had less students taking the test, but when you look at the total number of AP students at Old Bridge High School, we've more than doubled the number of students who take advanced placement tests since 2011. So somewhere in the area of like 160 students, and in 2015, we're over 360 students. When you look at the total number of AP exams that our students are taking, again, we've actually more than doubled this number over the past 5 years. In 2011, we had less than 300, where in 2015, we have over 600 students, or over 600 total AP exams were administered at Old Bridge High School. Thank you, Old Bridge Township Board of Education, Mr. Cittadino and Dr. Hoker, for your continued support and the opportunity to present Old Bridge Township Public Schools Annual Testing Report. Any questions?
No, well, it's not a question, just a statement. So thanks, Mr. Caulfield. Just so everyone knows, we did have this presented in our agenda meeting last week. So we did ask a number of questions at the time. So we're kind of quiet up here, but we did get the information, which, you know, is just great progress. But I just wanted to thank Mr. Caulfield again. And so you wondered why we really weren't saying all that much. We did bombard him last week with a bunch of questions. So thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Caulfield. Old Bridge Board of Education, parents in the community. Also in the lines with the accountability is that every year, twice a year, the Old Bridge School District and all school districts in New Jersey must report on HIB, which is harassment, intimidation, bullying, and violence and vandalism within the school district twice a year. So this will be our biannual report. So as I stated, every year, superintendent is required to report to the Board of Education and to the public incidents of violence and vandalism which have occurred in the district during the previous school year. With the passage of Public Law 2010, the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, incidents of HIB as well as violence and vandalism must be reported publicly twice a year. Period 1 consists of the data from September 1st through December 31st, and period 2 consists of January 1st through January 30th. Both reports are a monthly collection of input of data from the state's reporting system. The EVVRS reporting system is a collection of the following information. It counts the incidents of violence, vandalism, weapons, substance abuse, and it also reports on vandalism under whether the police were notified and a complaint was filed, or the police were notified and no complaint was filed, our in-school suspensions, our out-of-school suspensions, our expulsions, unilateral removals, removal by an administrative law judge. It speaks to the offenders and the type of victims. Were they student offenders and student victims? Were they school personnel victims? Were student victims of violent criminal offenses. It provides information upon the disciplinary action, such as assignments, instruction, or support services, whether an in-district program was used, was home assignment used, home instruction used, or out-of-district programming. So this report will reflect period 2, and that is from the January to June 2015, or the end of the 2014-15 school year, the second half. Obviously, the first half, between the first half and the second half, reporting one cycle is usually, the data is usually a smaller number than 2, because there's more school days inclusive in the second reporting cycle. And this reporting cycle of, the second reporting cycle also includes May and June, when things get a little crazier in the schools. In September through October, the angels come in and no one really says a peep for the first 2 months, and then things can change sometimes. But I'm glad to see the data results that we're going to reflect upon tonight, and we'll give you a culminative report for the past few years that I think you'll be impressed with. So, account of incidents reporting by category, we've had 29 for period 2, 29 incidents of violence, 5 incidents of vandalism, 2 incidents with weapons, 17 instances of substance abuse, and they're all unduplicated for a total of 69. The cost to the district for vandalism was 0. That is, sometimes when there's vandalism, we get reciprocity or restitution from the students and or their parents. In section C, actions taken, police were notified with no complaint 8 times. Police were notified with a complaint 8 times. In-school suspension 10 times. Out-of-school suspension 64 times. Expulsions or unilateral removal by an ALJ 0 times. Our offenders and victims, there were 77 student offenders and 37 student victims. School personnel were victims 9 times, and student victims of violence, criminal offense 0 times. Our programs that were used, assignments to educational programs, instructional or support programs 34 times, in-district programs 0 times, home assignment or home instruction 31 instances, and out-of-district programming 0. Our HIB numbers are as follows. The number of HIB confirmed incidents, 16. 10-day investigations were completed all 16 times, and the Board of Education decision rendered 16 times also. The nature of the HIB incidents were 7 were based upon race, 2 based upon color, 1 based upon religion. 4 were based upon sexual orientation, 3 were based upon mental, physical, and sensory disability, and 2 were other distinguished characteristics. The mode of the HIB incidents, 16 were verbal and 2 were physical. 3 were electronic communication, which can be anywhere on social media. Our disciplinary action taken for these HIB incidents were other or none 19 times, in-school suspension 5 times, out-of-school suspension 5 times, 3 areas of detention, suspension of privileges 5 times, individual counseling 17 instances, and restitution or restoration 2. Now we're going to do a year-by-year comparison of this data. And if we go back to 2009-10, you can see that we have 142 instances, in 2010-11, 157, 2011-12, 180. The past 3 years, we've had radical declines. 11-12, 12-13, 108. Last year, 275. And this year, staying in line with that, 78. So if you look at the latter 3 years, 2011 through 2012 through 2010 and 9, we've seen a 45% reduction over the latter 3 years. So I think what we've seen is that we have an increased number of students involved in extracurricular activities or activities and clubs within the schools. And our data has shown us when you give students extraordinary opportunities to express themselves, that you cut down on incidences of violence and vandalism within our schools. We don't have the longitudinal data for the HIB because it's only been since 2011-12 we've been required to collect that data through the passing of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. But we can see we are in a trend where we're going downwards again, starting off in 2011-12 with 58, 2012-13, 22, Back up a little again, last year 35, and then last year 24 incidences. That concludes the 2014-15 HIB and Violence and Vandalism report. I'm going to ask Steve to change over the programming, and while he's doing that, I'm going to hand him the computer. And I just want to comment on a video that you're going to see. Last year, I was invited to Washington, D.C. for the National Teacher of the Year dinner. And while I was there, I was just speaking to various school leaders, various national leaders about schools and trends in schools. And I was bragging a little bit about Old Bridge schools and the trends that we're seeing, the National School District Character Recognition. And there was a gentleman there who was the president of Edivate, which is a company that we use to track our performance for teachers and principals and steer professional development online for them as far as that tracking data, which is a part of the accountability regulations under Achieve New Jersey. We have to have evaluation data for our teachers and for our leadership staff. And in a brief conversation with him, he was just blown away by some of the progress that has happened in Old Bridge and with some of the challenges that Old Bridge has faced over the past 5 years. And they approached Dr. Hoker and I about doing a documentary about Old Bridge schools. And tonight, you'll be able to see this documentary. It'll be shown in full at the National Conference in Utah in September of next year. And we hope you're proud of it. This documentary is not possible without the people from this community, our students, and most of all our staff that's in the schools. Every bit of growth that happened within our schools over the past year and past 5 years is based upon our dedicated staff that are in the schools and their willingness to get on board and listening to the parents and the community members who wanted to make Old Bridge Schools the best place that it could be. So thank you, and please enjoy the video.
Stupid. Get out. It is one of the largest, if not the largest, we've ever seen. We went out without electricity and power in our schools for approximately 2.5 weeks. Our schools were set up as shelters for people in this specific area right here who had no place to go, no house to move into. So they spent nights in our gymnasium for weeks at a time. And to this day, many of the people who live here still haven't had the financial resources to rebuild. One event really shook the core of the community. A few students from the high school on summer break took part in a wilding activity and killed an innocent man in the streets during a hot summer night in July. The schools were not teaching good character to the students. And this event caught national headlines, and not the kind of national headlines we were looking for. We had another tragedy at a local supermarket. That night a vigil took place, a candlelight vigil. We're not going to say accept violence as part of our school and part of our community. I think at that point, the township hit rock bottom, like a moral and ethical rock bottom. And a lot of blame went upon the schools. We got together and said, we have a great responsibility. We have to make our product better, and it has to be a complete product from the academics, the athletics, the arts. All of it has to have a strong character-driven message. Has academics always been a priority for the Old Bridge School District? I really can't say comfortably that it has. We needed to increase the amount of time that our students were on task and increase the attendance and create an environment that was more conducive to students to coming to school, having that pride of coming to school. And when they did so, we saw the results. Do you think it's impossible for you to do 59 random acts of kindness in 1 year? Is it possible? Is it possible? It would be impossible to do less. It'd be impossible to do less. What a great attitude. Thank you very much.
What we need to do is create a culture where teachers are proactively reflective about their own practice and proactively reflective about what's happening in their classroom. I want you to make note of that. I'm a huge believer in creating professional learning contexts in which staff are mentoring to staff. Setting up those networks, creating contexts and providing time for staff members to really work and learn from one another.
Through the software provided through School Improvement Network and Observation 360 and Edivate, we really have streamlined that process and allows us to really take a look at the data and target our interventions and our professional development where our teachers need it. We're focusing on that differentiation in education. We're instilling interventions for those challenging learners. Children are like blank, no two are the same. All right, what do we have? We have snowflakes and delicate snowflakes. And I like your answer because it brings up a point. That's why we are moving so successfully towards response interventions. Because we have to get away from what we usually do to snowflakes. What do we do to snowflakes? We take one shovel and we throw them in a big pile. They come out all differently and we don't want to do that with children.
We have more students taking more AP exams and doing well on them each year. And that is consistently increased. And we've been on the AP honor roll for multiple years in a row, which is rare. I know that some of us, it is a large school, so I do want to make you feel as comfortable as possible, as quickly as possible. We spend so many hours in school that it's really important that this is somewhere that you feel comfortable and safe coming into.
Last year, our school district saw its highest SAT scores in the history of the school district. We know nationally there's been a 1-point average gain. In New Jersey, there was a 3-point gain. In Old Bridge, we saw an 88-point gain. And we believe that comes from a premise that if we get the children, if we get the parents, if we get the community to believe in itself, that we can do so much more, we're going to see those results.
And at the high school, the data that we had talking about the reduction in referrals and suspensions and the increase in attendance and the SAT scores and the kids involved in AP and the number of kids involved in the different clubs, that all goes to show these kids want to be here.
Good, excited?
We wanted to make sure that at the foundation of these students, not only was the athletics strong, not only was the education and the arts strong, but at the base of it all was a strong foundation built on great character and moral and ethical values. Character education is not something that you can find in a book. It's not a one-day assembly. It's changing the culture and climate of the community. And we had to gain the trust of the families and the children that call Old Bridge home. So it was easy for us to see where we wanted to be and head in that direction through character education and the work at character.org.
When we did have our national visit this year, I have never been prouder of my staff. I'd like to begin by first of all thanking all of our staff members for your tireless dedication and efforts in helping us to be named a National School of Character. So thank you to you.
There's the academics and there's the character piece. They can't be separated. There's a fiber that connects them, and it's a core fiber that needs to be there because one without the other is incomplete. Being a teacher is trying to provide them with the best tools to improve their future, reach their goals, and follow their dreams.
And we have so much more to accomplish. This is just the beginning, and we're going to take this district to great places.
Thank you. It's a video I think that we could all be proud of, and like I said, it wouldn't be possible without our staff who are doing heroic work in the classrooms, and our families in the community that's all pulled together. And I can't say enough about my team of administrators within the schools and central administration. And when we talk about character education, Dr. Hoker and everything she's done with character education in this district is something truly amazing and put us on the map. And again, thank you to this Board of Education for always saying yes and supporting our endeavors when we brought them to you and asking you to support us because we knew it was important. A few things that I do want to just take note from Mr. Caulfield's presentation is that, you know, everyone has heard me say it, that there's the greatest room in any organization is the room for improvement, and we do have a lot of improvement to make. The park is new, but there is really some data that's there that tells us that where we can steer our efforts. If you look at the elementary output, we're knocking it out of the park against the state average, and that's where we've put successful implementation of our RTI programs, where we've replaced interventions in place to support our students who historically do not test well and need interventions. And we're at the point now where we're putting that into the middle school with the goal of putting it to the high school. And our test data shows that's where we need to help our students who don't test well. So if we follow this trend, hopefully we can show the same gains that we've shown in the elementary schools. Another thing that I do want to state is that on tonight's agenda, you're going to see the hard work of the Old Bridge Education Association and the Board of Education coming together and finding a ratification for the collective bargaining agreement, and the board taking actions on the salaries that are there. That wouldn't be possible either without business office headed up by Mr. Mara and the personnel office headed up by Dr. Hoker, in really taking a lot of work and getting that, pushing everyone to get that data out there and to get the information on there so we can bring closure to this and get everyone where they need to be and where they deserve to be. And I want to thank the OBEA leadership for supporting us and helping us along the way when we needed it. So thank you very much. Great things happen when great people come together. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Cittadino, the other day, after the agenda meeting, when you had shown this, I made a comment about bringing this to the township, and I still think that we should reach out to them and show this particular video at a council meeting. I think there are a lot of people that do watch the council meeting on television and do go there, and I think it's a way to reach another segment of our community population. So if we could at least request if we could have a few minutes and see if we can get that aired, that would be great.
What has happened since that meeting, I reached out to Curtis Linton. He is the CEO of School Improvement Network and Edivate, and he has given us permission to publicize the video outside of the subscribers. So he said that's something we should all be proud of, and he wants us to celebrate it with our community. So I'm going to really put Mr. Gajewski on the spot there while he's working on a camera, so that to see if he can burn that to a CD for me from that site, and then we could pass along to the Old Bridge public channel and put it on our website as well, and really get it out there.
All right, thank you. Correspondence?
Madam President?
Absolutely,
I'd like to
Mr.
say a
Dunn.
few words.
Sure.
What we've seen tonight is a culmination of a lot of hard work. Going back in 2011, 2012, the Board of Education had to make some very difficult decisions regarding reorganization in our future. And at that point, as you could see, based upon the data that we've seen tonight, based upon our test scores, and also this incredible video that was produced, it shows that the Board of Education, the administration, and this community have worked hand in hand to provide for the best product possible for our kids. It's all about our community, and we need to remember that. And the Board of Education and the township have been working collaboratively to get this community to be one of the best in New Jersey. And everything we've seen here tonight, the efforts by Mr. Cittadino and the administrators, the staff, the Board of Education, and the taxpayers is extraordinary, and this is the byproduct. And we all need to be proud and publicize this incredible accolade, because you know what? The sky's the limit, and we're getting there. And you know what? I am confident that in the next 3 to 4 years, we will be the top performing school district in New Jersey, and that's going to be the best reward for this district and the community. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's participated, and I think we could do better. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Dunn, thank you. Mr. Mara, any correspondence? No correspondence. Special committee reports. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Ms. Hotman? Yes?
Yes, we had a curriculum meeting, Curriculum, Visual, and Performing Arts Committee meeting last week, and I just wanted to briefly explain some of the things that we had discussed. The Board of Education Curriculum, Visual, and Performing Arts Committee met in December and January to brief committee members on the status of a number of initiatives. The following are several highlights. Dr. Cascone and Mr. Caulfield briefed the committee on changes to the 2016-17 course offering book, which is on tonight's agenda for approval. The book will go live at the end of this week. The academic scheduling process for the 2016-17 school year will begin within the next 4 weeks. Dr. Calandria provided an update to the committee on the status of the district's intervention services program. The elementary RTI, Response to Intervention program, is now in its second year of implementation and meeting with a high degree of success. The middle school RTI program is in year 1 of implementation. Staff members are working diligently to apply the system to a secondary education setting. Dr. Cascone updated the Board of Education on the implementation of an elementary writing pilot, which will begin later this month. One teacher from each elementary school will participate. The pilot utilizes a workshop approach to teaching writing. It is being utilized in response to feedback from teachers on the need for professional development in the area of writing instruction. Dr. Cascone and Mr. Caulfield discussed the plans to move forward with the reestablishment of an alternative adult high school for the 2016-17 school year. The program will take place after school and we will utilize digital courses and a blended learning model. Mr. Caulfield presented an Upbridge District Assessment Report, which he presented tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hotman. Anyone else?
Madam President, the Finance, Buildings, Grounds, Transportation Committee will be having a closed session on Wednesday, February 3rd, to interview 2 ESCO companies, which is energy services companies for our ESIP program that we're going to be entering. So that's going to be a closed session.
Mr. Dunn, just too many anachronisms. Can you
Sorry?
just tell us what those
apologize.
abbreviations are for everybody?
Sure.
Thank you.
Basically, what we're doing is we're interviewing these companies to help us become more energy efficient, and based upon our savings, we'll be able to reinvest in our buildings. So we have an ESCO company, which is an energy services company, who is going to be elected to be our provider, who's going to work through this process with us, and we'll be interviewing those providers, and we'll make a recommendation to the entire board subsequently. So we'll keep you posted, and that's on Wednesday, February 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. The Technology Committee also met last week. Mr. Weber is the chairperson of that. He's not here this evening. Mr. Dinoff will give us a full report next week, but just so that everybody knows, one of the things that we did talk about were switches at the 2 middle schools. And to me, a switch is a light switch you flip on and off. I'm sure that when everybody started to talk about computers and it was going to make us a paperless society, and once we had computers, they'd all talk to each other, nobody envisioned how fast the advancements and the improvements would be. And we can't seem to keep pace with all of that. And our devices need more capacity to run the wireless system, and then this and that. So just trying to keep pace. So apparently the switches are a big deal, and that helped us with the park. But they're all done, and that's good. And something else that we talked about was a program called Class Note. And we had a wonderful presentation. I would like to mention the teacher, 9th grade teacher, biology teacher, Tanya Concalves. And makes me want to go back to a biology class, because all I had was colored chalk on a board with diagrams. And this class notes program is a phenomenal interactive program that she's using, and I'm hoping that that particular presentation that she showed us can get onto the website as well, and in addition, maybe get out to some of the PTAs so that the parents can see all the good things that are happening with all of our smart boards and the technology that we're using. So we're going to be working on that. So, okay. We're into the hearing of residents. Anybody? Agenda items only? All righty. Policy. Just one. Just number one. I need a motion, please.
Dinoff will move policy number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff.
I'll second it.
Ms. Ellis Foster will second. Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mara.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Curriculum, 1 through 6. Thank you, Ms. Hopman.
Dunn will second curriculum.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Any discussion? Mr. Mara?
Mongan, Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 6 pass.
Thank you.
1 through 10, including the addendum.
Finance. I need a motion to move 1 through 10, number 10 being on the addendum.
Mongan will move finance.
Dunn will second finance.
Okay, Ms. Mongan and Mr. Dunn. Any discussion? Mr. Mara?
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dinoff,
I would like to abstain on purchase order number 603136, and yes on the remainder.
Andriani.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 10 pass.
Thank you. Non-certificated personnel office. 1, 2, and 3.
Dunn will move non-certificated personnel office items 1 through 3.
Dinoff will second.
Thank you. Double D
just-
down there.
Just a question on number 3. The account number is a transportation account. Is that a typo? Will it be corrected in the minutes?
Yes, it will.
Is that all right? Ms. Mongan, you ready to? Okay. All right. Any other discussion? No? Roll call, Mr. Mara?
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 3 pass.
Okay, thank you. Non-certificated personnel operational, number 1 on our agenda, number 2 is part of the addendum. So I need a motion for 1 and 2.
I'll
Mo-
move.
I'm
There
sorry.
you go.
Mongan will move.
And I'll second.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Any discussion? Mr. Mara?
Dunn,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
thank you. Non-certificated personnel, other, 1 through 6.
Dunn will move non-certificated personnel other items 1 through 6.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Ms. Hartman, thank you very much. Any discussion? we always mention anybody that has long-term service, so we have a retirement here. So I'd like to read that into the minutes. May the board approve the retirement of Linda Toop, substitute paraprofessional aide, substitute teacher, effective December 30th, and express our gratitude for 21 years of service to the district. Thank you, Ms. Toop. Mr. Mara?
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
DePrima. Dinoff.
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Mongan.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 through 6 pass.
thank you. Certificated personnel, I'm still counting, numbers 1 through 12.
Dinoff will move.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff.
Hartman will second.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman.
Madam President,
Yes,
I need to separate item number 12 for voting purposes.
thank you.
And Madam President?
Yes.
I would just like to thank Dr. Lee again for everything he's done for the district. He brought exceptional experience and knowledge, and he was truly an innovator in his field, and I'm very thankful that he shared his talents and knowledge with our community. Thank you again, Dr. Lee.
Thank you. Mr. Dinoff, did you have him as a teacher yourself?
I did, yes. I had the privilege of having Dr. Lee. Yep. He
Thank
still
you.
helps me today, too.
Okay, then I don't have to read that we're approving his retirement. Thank you for your years of service. Any other discussion? Mr. Mara?
Okay, on items 1 through 11, Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Dinoff.
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Mongan.
Yes.
Dunn. DePrima. Andriani.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 11 pass. On resolution number 12, Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Singh. Dinoff.
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Mongan.
Yes.
Dunn.
No vote.
DePrima.
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes,
Resolution 12 passes.
thank you. Non-certificated personnel transportation, 1 and 2.
Mongan will move.
Dinoff will second.
Thank you, thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Mara?
Hopman.
Yes.
Singh.
Yes.
Dinoff.
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Mongan.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
thank you. Supplies, equipment, and services, 1 and 2. I need a motion.
I'll move.
Thank you, Mr. DePrima.
Hartman will second.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman. Any discussion? My only discussion is that we be apprised if we cannot sell the textbooks, because we do have some place that we can get them donated to, as opposed to just disposal. All right, thank you, Mr. Mara. All right, roll call?
Singh.
Yes.
Dinoff.
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Mongan.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
thank you. Transportation, 1 and 2.
Dunn will move transportation, items 1 and 2.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn.
Mongan will second.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan. Any discussion? No, Mr. Mara?
Singh.
Yes.
Dinoff.
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Mongan.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
thank you. Miscellaneous is 1 through 7. Mr. Mara, you wanted to explain something here, or are we just separating? Okay, but we are going to separate. We have two conflicts, not a conflict, we have 2 calendars on the agenda, so we need to clarify that disposition first.
Well, there's, motion 4 and 5 are 2 different calendars. The original intent of the administration was to present the Board of Education with the calendar that is motion 4, and if the board did not come to consensus on that calendar, then they would then go to an alternate option for the calendar, which would be motion number 5. So I'm just suggesting at this point, because they're both there, that if we separate, have discussion, pass motion 4, then administratively remove motion 5, so we're not voting no on a motion. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that is the calendar, both are with 181 days, but option, the one presented on motion 4 has school open on January 2nd.
Okay. That was the original calendar put together by administration and the committee.
No.
Yes.
Yes, that is the calendar put together through the calendar committee, made up of instructional council and parents and administration, and then presented to the board for the board to take action on, as the calendar is always the board's prerogative.
Okay, we're going to clarify this one more time. 4 is the original one that we saw, and motion, number 5 on here is the revised one that has school open on January 6th. Which one is which?
The revised one is the one with school closed on January 7th. Number 5. Yes.
See, I'm confused. I thought the original had school,
Four
it
is
was
the one that
open.
was presented last week.
Right. Okay. So number 5, the school is open, and number 4, school is closed.
No.
Number, all right,
Number 4.
School is-
open.
school
on
is
January
open.
2nd.
Okay. And 5, school is closed. Okay.
Number 4 was the original one that was
Right.
put into effect before we discussed the closing of school on January 2nd.
I'm clear now.
All right.
Crystal?
Madam President?
I have no children in the district, so it's not an issue for me, either one. But we're going to separate 4 and 5 and have a discussion at this time. Mr. Dunn, you wanted to go first, I assume?
Yes, basically, what I was going to ask is that we explain to the public the conversation that we had during the agenda session concerning the calendar, which precipitated to have a second calendar brought to our attention. The Board of Education has always been very sensitive to parents. Last year, unfortunately, based upon our preparation for the park, we didn't have a spring break, which this calendar does have. So I just want to clarify to the public why we had 2 calendars out there, so that we could make sure that we vetted the process and make sure everyone was comfortable. Absolutely, Mr. Cittadino, thank you.
Okay. So, the calendar presented to the board in motion 4 was vetted through the calendar committee, which is made up of staff from the district, both teaching staff, administrative staff, support staff, and our parents. And it is indicative of the 181 instructional days plus 3, PLC days, no, not PLC days, in-service days for our staff. And so for the students, it's 181 days. The conversation took place is that on the calendar that was presented, January 1st falls on a Sunday. The federal recognition of New Year's Day, 2017, is Monday, January 2nd. So the calendar that was presented, students would be in school on that day. Now, the calendar committee took into all this to a fact that, for a week and a half prior to that, students would be home during the Christmas break and the following week with their parents and doing certain things. And is it better to have an instructional day on January 2nd? Is that a stronger instructional day than having that day as another day off into Monday of the following week, and then in turn adding a day to the end of the school year, which would be June 19th, a Monday following a week? And, there's pros and cons. And looking at what other districts have done, it's about a 50-50 mix. Some districts have school open on that day, on January 2nd. Some schools have schools closed on January 2nd. The calendars that I did pull from East Brunswick, Saraville, and one other that had school closed on January 2nd, that extra day for them wasn't a difference maker because they're going until the 23rd or the 22nd, which is Thursday and Friday of the following week. So one extra day of that week wasn't going to make a difference. But as we know, we must be sensitive to our students here as well, and our staff, that without air-conditioned building beyond the middle schools and the elementary levels, it gets very hot that third week in June. It can still be hot that second week in June. So we're trying to get out as soon as possible. So that's where the option came to the board. We presented them with the calendar that has the 181 instructional days with June 2nd as a in-school day. And if the board does not come to consensus on that calendar, then an option was presented to them that they can vote on a calendar that will have January 2nd as a school closed in recognition of New Year's, and the alternative would be that schools will be open then on Monday, June 19th, bringing us into the third week of June. So those are the options presented to the Board of Education. If you have any questions about that, the procedures we went through or the communities that I polled, you can more than well ask them. I think I sent to the board a complete package of the districts that have their calendars put together. And many districts don't have their calendars finalized yet. So the ones that did respond to my poll, I did provide you with. And again, it's about a 50-50 mix.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. Mr. Dunn, are you continuing your discussion?
Yes, I just want to thank David Cittadino for understanding the question and giving the Board of Education options. And based upon his explanation, along with Dr. Hoker's and the recommendation made by the committee, I am going to be voting yes for the first calendar, which has school open on the 2nd. We had a very constructive conversation. We did our due diligence, and we're here to approve the calendar for 2016-17. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. You seem to have been the most vocal about this discussion in the first place, so thank you very much. Mr. Dinoff, do you have something you want to add? Okay.
Yes, I would just like to say I'll be voting in support of this original proposed calendar. I think it's the best option. It begins school after Labor Day, it affords a spring break, and it ends school as stated on a comfortable June 16th. I heard a lot of positive feedback from parents and community members, and again, I feel it's the best option. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hopman?
I will also be voting on the original calendar. I just feel that the administration, along with the calendar committee and the parents, sat down and they went through lengths to put this calendar together. I feel it was in the best interest of everyone. And I also feel that the children are off from the 23rd of December until January 1st. And then on January 2nd, to keep them off an extra day, you know, I was concerned about the parents of these children that maybe have to go to work. And what are they going to do with these children that have been off since the 23rd? And maybe some of the parents have had to get people to watch the children throughout that whole week and then to have to do it over again. I didn't think it was fair to the parents. I think the children had had enough time between the 23rd and January 1st. And, you know, I just felt that if the committee and the administration were the ones that put the original calendar together, then I'm going to go with that because I feel that's what their job is. They did it well.
Thank you, Ms. Hopman. Of all the things that we talk about on the board, the calendar seems to be one of the one of the items that we have the most discussion on. Anybody on this side of the
I'd
table?
like to,
Mr.
yeah.
DePrima.
As Mrs. Andriani just said, it's a big deal, the calendar. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the committee for doing the hard work and trying to get it good for everybody. After last year's, I don't want to say be too harsh, but a lot of people weren't happy with this year's calendar. From what I'm hearing so far, a lot of people are happy with the proposed calendar. And I also like to thank my colleagues for debating last week on what would be the right way to go. And I think we're going to make the right decision. Thank you.
Ladies? No? No? Mr. Singh? You okay? All righty. With that being said, I would like to just add that we just never know Mother Nature and snow. So that's always a good thing to give ourselves some wiggle room for snow days. We certainly went through that last year where we had to take days away from holiday breaks. And I've been an educator for 37 years, and having one day hang over until the following Monday, if anybody wants to talk about a day being unproductive educationally, that would be one of them. And heat being a factor as well.
You know, Mrs. Andriani, you
Yes,
just
ma'am.
mentioned snow days, and I just do have a comment, and I will be voting on the original calendar. It's just that I've always asked, and I don't know if the committee even considered, but in my opinion, when my kids went to school, they went the election day, so they had 3 days in a row in November, and then were off Thursday and Friday. I think November is a very high-level instructional day. I know things have changed. We do have separate entrances. We do have more security, and we do have the schools open for primary elections. I know there's a bigger turnout on general elections, but I would rather see 3 snow days in the calendar and have that day of school. But I'm just one person, but that's just my comment.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mongan. I know that the original decision came after an unfortunate tragedy at a school when we had to enhance safety and the security of the students, and I don't know how much that has changed, things being what they are. I know that we have spent a lot of time and energy doing physical enhancement as well as other things for the security of the students, and that could be a discussion for another day. I did speak to Mr. Weber earlier, and his inclination, even though he will not be voting today, is to go with the original calendar, again, because of air conditioning. The earlier we can get out in June, the more productive the consistency of education would be. So, anybody else for further discussion? No, now we have to figure out what we're doing.
Not for discussion, but just for clarity, I just want to fix. So on that, it says, on the original calendar, it says June the 16th. It's shaded, it should not be shaded, it's not a school closed day, so we can fix that for the finalization. So it should be a early dismissal day, which it is, with a line and a bold box around it, but it should not be shaded as well, because school is open on that day.
Okay. So we're keeping 4, and we will administratively remove number 5 at this time? And take it off the agenda? Is that what we're doing? Or just? You tell me. Legally, what's the best way to pursue?
I would think it'd be cleaner to vote separately on 4, and if you pass 4, then administratively remove number 5.
You can absolutely do that. So, at this point, you have not got a motion on anything yet. So you need a motion to move 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7, and then we'll clean up the other 2.
I'll move it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No.
1, 2,
No.
3, 6, and 7.
1, 2, 3, 6. Okay, we started our discussion prior to having a motion, so at this point, I need a motion for 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 for miscellaneous. Mr. Dinoff?
Yes, Dinoff will move.
Yes, and Ms. Hartman will second. All right, no more discussion. Mr. Mara, roll call.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Suprema,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
So resolutions 1 through 3 and 6 and 7 pass. On resolution number 4, Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Suprema, Hopman,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes,
So resolution 4 passes.
good. Now what?
Mr. Citadino?
Just to say it. At this time, I'd ask the board to administratively remove item number 5 from the agenda.
Thank you. Okay. Board Secretary, Board Business. Mr. Mara?
Just need a motion.
I know that we need a motion. Do you want to explain anything before we?
No.
No? Okay. So, I need a motion for Board Secretary and Board Business.
Dinoff will move Board Secretary and Board Business.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff.
Hartman will second.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman. Now, is there any discussion from the board members? No, Mr. Mara, please.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Singh, Deinhoff.
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes. and I-
Resolution 1 passes.
Thank you. And I would like to mention that in the body of that particular section, January 16th is the School Board Recognition Month. So thank you, everybody that's sitting up here with me. Okay. At this point, we are at the end of our agenda items, and we open the floor to the public. Is there anybody that would like to comment on any particular issue? No? Okay.
Ms.
Thank you
Andriani,
very-
can I just add something?
No.
Okay.
Yes, be my guest, Mr. Citadino.
So in that calendar recognition under the calendar item number 6, the collective bargaining agreement between the OBEA and the Board of Education changed the length of, the instructional days for students from 182 to 181, and that is inclusive of this instructional year, so we had to amend the 2015-16 calendar. It's important information for all staff, parents, and students, that they know that during the abbreviated spring break in March, that is inclusive of March 25th through the 28th, we've now added the 29th as an extra day off for spring break, which falls on a Tuesday. So that turned it from a 4-day weekend into a 5-day weekend around the Easter holiday in March. So please note that in your calendars, real-time alerts will go out and email information will go out so that no unfortunate children show up to school on the 29th.
An explanation of joy has been heard throughout the audience here. Right, ladies? Woo-hoo! Okay. Old business? That's not business from old people? That's just old business. Mr. Mara, new business?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Andriani. In each board member's packet, there's a page called Proposed Refunding of 2006 School Bonds. In 2006, the board issued approximately $41 million in school bonds, of which approximately $34 million are refundable in 2016. Whenever the district can save 3% on the existing bonds, it's mandatory that we go out to refinance or refund those bonds. In this particular environment that we're in now, the financial environment that we're in now, we will save approximately 10% on those bonds, or $3.5 million over the next 15 years. So during the board meetings in February and March, there will be presentations and resolutions authorizing us to refund the existing bonds. Thank you, Ms. Andriani, and if anyone has any questions, just let me know.
Can you speak to me like I was a fifth grader? Okay. If you could explain that to me in a level that I can understand.
Okay, all right, here, think of your house. You purchased your house, you financed it at an interest rate of 10%, and now interest rates are 5%. So you refinance the house, you pay off the previous mortgage, and you get a new mortgage at a lower rate. That's exactly what we're doing. It's that simple.
Thank you very much for clarifying and simplifying that for me, and I'm sure for some other people out in TV land.
Anyone else?
New business? Anyone else? Mr. Citadino has new business.
Today, my office and Joe Mara and Carly Johnson, we met with the county superintendent, the county BA, to go over next year's, the 2016-17 budget needs. And we also met with the RAC representative, Dr. Mary Barberi. We talked about our focus school, Jonas Salk School. And at that point, and I want to make sure we share this with the public and our teachers, I'll say Joe could agree that I voiced my frustration with the whole RAC process, the focus school process. At the end of the month, the federal guidelines will come out, and the State Department of Education and the RAC will make recommendations to invite schools out of the focus program and invite new schools in, depending upon our most recent data scores. And I took the time to highlight for them the frustration and the, I guess, the misguided information that came out of the program at its inception. You know, when principals and school leaders and teachers were looking to increase student proficiency under the old model, they wanted us to reach safe harbor and have at least 10% gains in each area and subgroup. And at that point, Jonas Salk School did that and did so masterfully, moving more students towards advanced proficiency than ever before. In doing so, and in that push, which they encouraged us to do, it created a gap between special needs students and our highest performing students. So it was at that point that they changed the game plan and said, well, here's the problem. Now you have a gap, and we want to close the gap, and this is why you're a focus school, because you have this big gap. So they said to Salk School, you've got to close the gap between your highest achieving and your lowest achieving. And within 3 years, Salk School did that. It closed the gap. And then the federal guidelines came out and said, well, listen, we don't really want to pay so much attention to the gap anymore. We want to look at the achieved measurable goals, or achieved measurable outcomes, which are the AMOs. And they're based upon, again, proficiencies. So every time the students and the staff of this district at Salk School have met the goals presented to them by federal guidelines and the Department of Education, the target gets moved. And that's the frustration where we're at. We're going to sit nicely and hope for the best. And at the end of the month, when they make the recommendations for new schools coming in and old schools going out. And again, we have the support of the leadership from RAC 5 team, Dr. Mark Barberi. He tells us that he's recommending that Salk School come out of the program, that we have achieved the goals that were originally presented to us, but we shall see. I've met with Mr. Parton and discussed our options going forward after that. So we'll see what happens at the end of the month, but I did want to update the board and the public and our staff about that. Your frustrations have been shared with the Department of Education, and we're hoping for the best at the end of the month.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. We will go into closed session, so I'll need a motion for that. But before that, is there anybody that would like to end with a good of the order? If not, okay, we have quite a few things to discuss on.
You're going into closed session for attorney-client privilege and personnel matters.
Thank you, Mr. Parton. So I need a motion to go into closed session.
And just to clarify that the board will only come back to adjourn after that, there'll be no further public portion of the meeting. So just so no one hangs around for no reason.
All right, thank you, Mr. Parton. Mr. DePrima, would you like to make a motion? Closed session.
Of course I would.
Thank you, Mr. DePrima. I need a second.
Dinoff will second.
Thank you, Mr. Dinoff. No discussion?
Singh?
Right.
Singh? Dinoff? Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Mongan?
Yes.
Dunn? DePrima?
Yes.
Popman? Andriani?
Yes.
Executive session begins.